Hello, hello. Just testing to make sure this works. Let me see. Ah, yes. Okay. Sorry, you might not be able to see my face today because I'm not very savvy with this, but I hope everyone can hear me still. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so welcome to our fourth workshop. Yeah, as you can see, it's not, you know, Riz here today. It's actually me. So if you guys miss him, you can find him in the chat. But otherwise, I'm Kim, and I'm the DApp Relations Lead. So you have DevRel, which deals with developer relations. So I am doing app relations. So after you create your app and you're listed in our ecosystem, you actually be able to speak with me, share your problems and talk to me about app building. Yeah. So I will get started. Um, and maybe we can just quickly go through, what to expect today. Basically, this workshop is, all about VeBetter, the app, VeBetter DAO. And I'll basically introduce what is VeBetter, the mechanics of how the VeBetter ecosystem works, the process to getting integrated and listed on VeBetter. Yeah, and we'll throw in some other good bits, of what you should be including in your code and in building your app. Yeah, and of course, can't forget, the hackathon is coming right up. I'm sure you guys are excited to know more about it. We actually have 30K in the prize pool. So it's 10K for each track, and that's 5K for the top prize, 3K for second, and then 2K for the third place. So lots of good stuff. And it will be starting on 22nd September for about 2 weeks, and it's all virtual. So regardless of where you are, you'll be able to participate and just try your hands at building an app. It's really easy here. Keep your team small. um, Usually we see one project lead and then one technical lead. You could also have a designer as well. But yeah, small teams, think it'll be fun. And the hackathon is all about creating apps that are aligned with both the AI and also the VeBetter narrative. So I'll share a bit more about VeBetter later. And maybe I can talk a bit more about the different tracks that we have. Yeah. So in case you haven't seen any of, the earlier workshops, we actually did touch on this, but to give you an idea of what to expect, we're all about sustainability and doing good, doing better for the world. So there are three main tracks. The first track is focused on more social impact, right? We want to, reach and enable and empower people. And then the second track is more eco, right? Economic, environmental impact, all about protecting the planet, different stuff, right? And then lastly, we have the ecosystem and technical innovation track. And this is more focused on ecosystem infrastructure as well as tooling. So if you can build, a kind of tool that can help the ecosystem, um, yeah, this could be like an AI tool, or it could help different apps, in terms of security, or just building an additional layer on top for, say, payments, right, or marketplace. So stuff like that, this would belong in the third track. So based on these three tracks, feel free to decide which one inspires you the most and go for it. Yeah. So maybe I'll talk a bit about grants, right? So after you participate in the hackathon, chances are you may or you may not win the hackathon prize, but then you'll be able to go on for further funding. So if you're an app that has won a prize, great. And then you want to develop further, you can actually apply for another grant and get it beyond your MVP stage, right? To get your main product. And then if you are an app that didn't manage to win the prize, but you really want to stick around, you feel like VeBetter is the place for you, you really want to try and create your own Web3 app with us. We also open these grants to you. And we have two main tracks for grants. So for most of the use cases, that's probably like the X to earn, which I'll explain again later. But for most use cases that talk about sustainability use case, then that would apply for the 30K grant. So you can apply anywhere up to 30K, depending on, what you need the funding for. So most of the funding would center around technical development, although you can have, allocate a portion just to, for marketing, for growth, especially to prove your initial use case, right? And then, of course, we have the tooling grants that's capped at 50K because we understand that it's probably more complex and you might need an audit, so a security audit. So we do have a bit higher for the tools. Yep. So I guess let's get started, shall we, with this workshop? Yeah, I assume there's no questions. I'm talking to myself. Okay. Let's go straight into it. So on VeBetter, what is VeBetter, right? This is what the whole workshop is about. So VeBetter is VeChain's sustainability-focused ecosystem that's powered by the community. So it works basically, right, like a rewards platform on VeChain that encourages people to make more sustainable choices. So if you do stuff like, biking, taking the bus to work, recycling, using a reusable cup, or even just thrifting, right? I know that's what all the Gen Zs are into. And even exercising. You do these actions every day, they get verified on chain, and then you actually earn tokens for it. And those tokens aren't just, your typical points. They actually give you a voice. So you can use these tokens to help shape how our whole ecosystem develops. And the really cool part is, this isn't just about individuals, right? We've built a full loyalty layer on chain. So that means that businesses, and communities can plug into the same, reward system. So we're all contributing to real world impact together. And it's all about making sustainability measurable, rewarding, and also accessible by all. Yeah. So to help you understand the ecosystem a bit better, here are some examples. We have a lot. I guess like 40. We have more than 40 apps integrated with VeBetter right now. And of course, millions of sustainable actions tracked so far. And majority of these apps that you can see here are actually X to earn apps. So you may ask, like, what is an X to earn, right? So X to earn in our context means getting rewarded on VeBetter to do something good in the real world. So how does this work? So you actually, first of all, complete a real world action or something sustainable, and then you submit this through a VeBetter app. So take your pick here. And then the second step, of course, is to get this action verified by an app of your choice. And the verification process can be manual. We can do this via image recognition, using AI or machine learning, or even stuff like hardware device integration. So you talk about, if you're exercising, you can use your smartwatch. The third step, of course, after being successfully verified, the user is awarded the tokens that are native to our ecosystem called Better tokens, or B3TR, but I just call it Better tokens. And then you can use these tokens. One, of course, is to participate in our ecosystem or our DAO governance. So a lot of our users actually vote for the apps that they like, and they vote on different proposals, so governance proposals, and they also vote for the grant projects that they want to see. And of course, if you want to spend it in the real world, we have a VeBetter card. So it's accepted by all Visa merchants. Or you can even use gift cards, right? So we have grant cards somewhere in the middle, if you see that. You can actually buy, your Amazon gift cards, like gift cards that you use daily. You can buy it and use your tokens. So you earn your tokens and then you spend it. Yeah, and you can see at the bottom of this diagram, the whole point is about integrating acts of sustainability into your everyday lifestyle, right? From morning till night. Like which parts resonate with you, you can actually get rewarded just doing the same things that you do every day. Okay, so now that you know a bit more about the VeBetter ecosystem, let's move on to how do you actually submit an app? So before you can publish your app for real, for the public to use, you need to test it first, right? Like that's the basic, just to make sure, it's working, the essential functions are there, stuff like ability to send and receive your tokens. So before we jump into that, there's a checklist of addresses that you will need, right? One, of course, is your admin address. This is so important, as it's called, or as its name, admin address. So you have admin power. You can actually update any details of the app, change the treasury address, move ownership to another wallet, pause reward distribution, etc. Like all that stuff. So you do have to have an admin wallet. Second, you need your treasury address. So as the name suggests, you can receive withdrawals of Better tokens for your app operations and all that in your treasury address. And finally, you need at least one reward distributor address. So this address is to allow your contract to distribute token rewards to users. So you'll see more details later. But yeah, so to submit an app, of course, you have to go to the testnet environment. It's linked right here for you guys. And you can create apps there. You can interact with smart contracts and also manage your reward distribution. So maybe I can show you how it looks like. There you go. Yeah, so we're in the testnet environment. I think you guys can see them. So I've already connected my wallet, but you guys will have to connect your own wallet and you can add an app. So you'll be prompted to do this. Yeah. And this is a preview of what it looks like. So in order to create a new app on testnet, you have to fill in all these details. So name, of course, is the app name, a description of what your app does. Project URL, you can actually key in your GitHub. We can take a look at that for you. And as I mentioned earlier, you will need your admin address. So admin power, this is your super address, as well as your treasury address. So they can both be the same address, but it's also up to you if you want to keep things separate. Right? And then you have to have a logo, of course, for us to identify, make sure it fits, the requirements, as well as a banner image. So this will all appear in your profile page and you'll be able to preview here. Yeah. So I won't submit this, but yeah, just go like this. So I won't submit this, but after you submit your own details, you will receive an app ID, and this identifies your application. So it's important to remember it, record it somewhere. And then let me move on. So next, of course, once you have it all set up, you need to set up your rewards. And to do that, you actually need VeBetter tokens. So you can claim your tokens from the faucet. It will be on the right side, right column. Let me see if I can show that to you guys. Yeah, there you go. So the faucet, you guys can claim that. And then you can deposit the VeBetter tokens to your app balance so you can distribute them. So all you have to do is go to your Manage App page and then click Deposit in the App Balance section, and then you can do that. Yeah, and you would want to also add a reward distributor address, which I mentioned, your checklist of 3 addresses that you'll need. So why do you need this, right? So for transparency's sake, we have actually developed a centralized reward distributor contract. And this contract must be used by all apps to ensure that every transfer of a VeBetter token related to a sustainable action is actually publicly tracked and also accessible to the community. We talked about everything being on-chain, being transparent, being verifiable. So you need to call this contract to distribute the rewards. So you will be able to find this. You can click the cogs icon or the settings icon to go into the app settings section, and then scroll down all the way to the reward distributor section, and then add the public address as a reward distributor. Then just click save. And that's it. You will be able to distribute rewards through that on your backend. So one more thing, right? On VeBetter DAO, every active app can actually receive VeBetter tokens from weekly allocation rounds via a contract called the X to Earn Rewards Pool. So apps actually claim and then use the X to Earn Rewards Pool balance to distribute tokens to users as reward. So if you need to simulate the allocation rounds, again, you can go back to the admin section and press Start Round. Right. So what this does is in testnet, it will simulate a whole allocation round, which only lasts for 10 minutes on testnet instead of 1 week on mainnet. And other stuff that you might need to know also is, adding proof and impact to your app. So on-chain data. So you can actually attach proof of the user's sustainable action when you distribute the reward. Yeah, so the proof can be a link, a video, photo. Typically, we see photos, and that's where users can actually go see. We have some apps where the community actually review the photos and they realize that, oh, maybe this is a farmer, or someone's been sending duplicates, right? So it helps when the community can access this. And you can provide more than one proof, right? It could be a photo and a link and a text. And the current proof types that are supported are images, links, text, video. Yeah, so I mentioned those. You can also include the environmental impact of each of your sustainable action in your app, though that will require, a set of criteria and metrics tied to each action. So for example, if you're an app on energy conservation, then you could use like your watt hours of electricity saved, right? Or water, then that could be like milliliters, etc. Yeah, so I did talk a bit about, these are quotes. Wait, before we move into that, maybe I want to just share a bit about the testnet process versus the mainnet process. So I've kind of introduced like the testnet process that you'll see. Basically, you just get allocation, you can test your different functions, make sure it works. And on the mainnet, it's pretty similar, but more complicated, of course. So yeah, maybe I'll just talk a bit about that. Like on mainnet, you have to use your app ID, which is derived from testnet. Remember, I said this at the start, you will need your app ID after you submit your app to the testnet environment. So use this app ID, and then you can apply and receive what we call a creator's NFT. So creator's NFT allows you to create an app on the mainnet. So you can create an app profile, And this gives you your own app live in the ecosystem. So that will appear on our VeBetter webpage. And once you get that listed, it will go through this process called endorsement. Let me share this. Maybe I can show you guys. Yeah, here. So these are like new apps that you can see, and they are trying to look for endorsement. And the minimum score, of course, is upon 100. You can exceed, but you have to hit the minimum of 100 threshold in order to participate as like a full-fledged app, and also in the weekly token allocation rounds. So I talked about, token allocation just now. You will receive your first Better tokens at least 1 week after getting fully endorsed on VeBetter. So these are apps that have already received their endorsement, and it's something that you have to sustain, right, every week. Um, and once you're endorsed, you qualify for the allocation, and every week you will compete with the other apps in the ecosystem to receive as many Better tokens as you can based on the user votes each week. I can talk about that later, but basically, gist of it is you participate, you get endorsed, you participate in the weekly allocations, your users or the community members vote for your app, you get a higher share of tokens, which you can then use for, your operations and primarily user rewards. So that would be your main source of funds for token rewards for your users. Yep. So, on the front end, this is the code you need for your JavaScript. I would go past this. Most of this stuff has already been taught in the earlier workshops, so you can refer back to, I think, workshops 2, 3 to check it out. And then if you're coding using Solidity, same thing. So stuff I mentioned, right? So getting the distribution from the X to Earn rewards pool. Okay. Yeah. And so, let's go back to what you're gonna take away from this workshop session, right? So one, of course, you would learn about VeBetter. That's the crux of this whole workshop. You've learned how to register your app for this. You've learned the key stuff that you need for VeBetter integration. So these include the token distribution, sending, receive, and of course, your rewards. So maybe I can show you a bit more about the app examples. Let me see. That we have here. So at a glance, you can see, most of these are X to Earn. And what I mean is for this, example, Better Transit is right to earn. They've also been awarded a grant recently as part of the community voting. And they are, a grassroots project. So we hope to see more projects like this. And this could be your app as well. More projects coming on and, just joining the VeBetter DAO ecosystem. Some other use cases. So this one is about using a reusable tote. And then, of course, we have more on electricity, conservation. You can even take picture of your food and get rewarded for that. Or if you save any food wastage, you can do that. We have one that is on exercising, so build your body. Stuff that you do like squats, burpees. Try out the app, do it with your family, and get rewarded with tokens. So a little less like an X to Earn. So we actually have Blue Dollars. So this is a stable coin. They really function as a tool that all the other apps can also use. So the good thing about having a stable coin is that you have a stable currency that users can actually use. And this helps a lot of our DeFi apps as well. And then green card is all about, when you go grocery shopping, you can actually get rewarded just by doing that. So any produce, healthy whole foods, you'll get rewarded. And something a bit, yeah, maybe like juicy finance. So this one is lending and borrowing. So we do have stuff like this here. It helps with liquidity of the tokens and, therefore supporting the ecosystem. So this would fall more under infrastructure and tools. Yeah. Oh, and this one, I think people would love this. So Restify, it's actually a wellness app for you to stay off your phone. Yeah. So I have a problem with this. So I think most of us need a break from our phone time to time. So you can actually use your app. I think it's currently only available on Android, but your iOS is coming out soon. Yeah, so you can see like there's so many use cases. I hope you guys check out this page and see, right, like get some inspiration on what's possible. Of course, if you are able to innovate, we do have one called Green Ambassador. So it's less about sustainability as you know it, so less about going green, but more about educating people about climate change and something like that, right? Just spreading awareness, spreading or educating people is also something that we can reward users with. So if you have a more innovative use case or problem that is happening in your uh, area, right, where you live, or you know about it, you're passionate about sustainability, and we're talking about sustainability, in the long term, it's not just talking about green stuff. So anything around it that you feel can help people live better, yeah, you can definitely try that idea out, in this hackathon. And maybe I can just share a bit about some common problems that we face. So when you're building your app, what to look out for. Uh, so one, of course, we do get like fair enough. We do get people who are only in this for the tokens. So we call that reward farming, right? And people can get very creative when there are free tokens up for grabs. So definitely have to take note of some basic security measures and also gamification so that you reward your users, but you actually reward the people who are real quality users and loyal users even more, right? And this helps with user retention. And then second thing, of course, is user growth. So you want to make sure you find the right market or community for your app idea. We see a lot of these app examples or use cases are more Web2 friendly. So like I said, like if you were using a reusable token, yeah, that's something that any ordinary user can actually start using. So you want to make sure this barrier of entry to starting, for them to start using the app is actually low. So we've included or we've recommended people to, for example, integrate social login instead of having a wallet. So you can look into stuff like that for your own app. And of course, like we want user numbers, but you also have to remember that user numbers do not mean weekly voters. So I talk about the weekly allocation that you get. So people actually have to vote for your app if they like your app, and then you get more better token allocation every week. So you must remember that having high user number doesn't mean that your weekly voters will reflect that same thing. Of course, it might be related, but it doesn't necessarily equate. So stuff that the apps have also implemented include in-app staking, right? It's all about easing or simplifying that process for your users. So they don't have to deal with like, oh, what is staking and all that. They only know, okay, I like your app. I'm gonna park some of the better tokens that I've earned with you in order to support your app. Yeah. And I think when you're building your app, we've talked about, incentivizing sustainable behavior. But at the end of the day, when you're creating a project, a business, you must remember that you have to create value beyond just giving away rewards, right? So you can treat these like token rewards as the hook to bring in people. And after that, you do have to find a way to retain them, right? Keep your app exciting or value adding to their lives. So if there's something for them to keep using, it could be gamification, it could be a community in your app. Yeah, you want to make sure you include that in your roadmap, right? As you build your app or iterate on your app. Yeah. So, um, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. And you can connect with us on, X or Telegram. So most of our updates are on X. Telegram also has a great community, and if you're a builder, Discord would be great as well. So do check those out. And yeah, I think that's all about it. I'm not sure if there are any questions in the group. Let me see. Give me a second. Yeah, and I forgot to share this, but just in case you guys, want to learn more about the grants program, you can actually check out the grants page for this. Again, our grants program is very targeted at VeBetter, right? Supporting the growth of VeBetter. So you'll find all the info here. So this is just applying for grant funding. You can see most of these apps are already live on VeBetter now, and an FAQ section all about it to see if your app or your MVP, right, after you emerge from the hackathon, is it eligible and what criteria people actually look up for. Yeah. Let me show you. Yeah, and just now when I talk about, Mainnet, right, applying to list your app on VeBetter now, you can actually apply here. So just now I mentioned creators NFT. So you can submit a creators form. So let me just iterate this whole thing, right? So on the testnet, it's all about just submitting, and then you'll get your app ID, followed by the token allocation, which you can claim from the faucet, and then test out all the reward distribution functions, etc. For the VeBetter DAO, so on Mainnet, once you're ready, you actually come to this page, so the apps page. So let me just show you. So VeBetter page, this is dashboard, and all the governance functions that you'll see. You can click on apps, and just click apply now, and click submit form. So this is for Mainnet ready apps. So same thing, you fill in your app name, you fill in your app description, and how you intend to distribute better to users. So this could be like a percentage, right? For example, majority of our apps are recommended to allocate at least 60 to 80% of their better tokens that they receive from the weekly allocation rounds to the users. So 60 to 80% to user rewards. And then you could allocate a percentage of the remaining for app operations, for marketing, for growth. You can allocate a share for your team as well. And you can even allocate a small portion for endorsement. So of course, this would be some incentive. I think it would help in you getting fully endorsed. Your project URL. So this could be your website or repo, and then your wallet address for you to create for you to receive your creators NFT. So once you get approved, you have to create the app profile using this wallet address. So just take note. Include, your GitHub, your X. We do include some checks in our process for the creators NFT approval. So we will check all this. We will check if your app works. We will check some, basic security measures, like if it's easy to, what's that word? I can't remember. Yeah, but if it's easy to game your app. Yeah. And then we will require an email address, of course, for communication purposes, as well as the name of the project lead. Testnet, project URL, app ID. And I think for this part, right, on your different social channels and URLs, I would recommend you to create, at least an X, primarily for, most of our apps communicate or like put their updates on the X accounts. But you can also create an email or a Telegram channel specific for inquiries. So that will help when, especially in your early phases where you might have a lot of bugs. People can actually feedback there and talk to you. And we find that most of the apps with a strong community support actually do well, right? Because you are able to gain the trust and people actually realize that, oh yeah, you are trying to iterate, you take people's feedback into consideration. So that will be so useful for you. So we do recommend that. Like I said, we have a checklist of the security requirements that you should implement just to help. If you don't know what these are or you would like some recommendations, feel free to speak with the DevRel as well. We can suggest based on what some of the other apps have implemented. Yeah, and then you can send application, and we typically turnaround is like a week, at most 2 weeks if it's a lot. And once it gets approved, you'll get your creators NFT in your wallet, and you'll be able to start your endorsement process, which I've said earlier. I would just repeat again. So you will be able to create your app profile, and then it will appear here. So like pause up, and then you can start looking for endorsements. So we have different endorsement channels for you. This could be done on Discord with your creators NFT. You'll be able to access different servers. So on Discord, on Telegram, and we can also connect you with the different node holders who are responsible for endorsing apps. So once you get fully endorsed, and that's where you're here, and again, that's where you start to participate in your weekly allocation rounds. And you are ready to, start your journey as a VeBetter app. So that's about it. I hope this was useful. Let me see if there are any more questions. Otherwise, I think we can end this here. Yep. So we do have a question here. So if we were planning an app, what would you consider? So this is kind of broad. So I think in terms of app building, right, one of course would be to keep things simple, right? We talked about X to earn. We find that the easiest X to earn, or like the action itself, right, has to be clear, has to be simple, has to be so natural. So an example of a success case, of course, would be Mugshot. They're definitely leading in terms of users, total users of their app. And the thing about Mugshot is that, it's really easy to get started. Like you just open the app, you can log in with social login or wallet. I have my wallet, so it's even easier for me. And you just snap a picture of your reusable mug when you're drinking your coffee or tea. And you don't even have to be at a coffee shop to do this, right? You can do it at home. So if I were to make tea right now, I can actually snap a picture and I will get rewarded immediately. So this form of like instant gratification and like ease of process, just like I just do this one snap, a couple seconds just to verify, and then I get it. And then on the back end, of course, we do have like AI and manual verification, all that stuff happening. But from the user's point of view, it's as simple as that, right? So even if people try to submit multiple like snapshots, it's very simple. But of course, that you would face, things like, oh, how can I cap the number of rewards, or how do I gamify my app so that people don't take advantage of this? So you can consider that at a later point. But again, like I said, for an app, you have to make sure that your X to earn is very simple. The UI UX has to be straightforward, I think at the start at least, and very intuitive for people, right? So the action, you can have tutorials or just a quick like guide, like 3-step guide. Looks good. And then have a profile page, referrals, all that stuff. Just keep things simple for your first app, first iteration of your app. And then you can continue to build on it based on the feedback that you get from your community. Like what else do they want to see, right? Or like what problems come up, and then you fix it. And then you just keep iterating on it. In terms of, let me see, what other considerations we can give? Yeah, so simple X to earn, intuitive UI UX. And I think, as I mentioned, the support has to be good. And of course, the barrier for people to get started has to be low. So these are the main few ones if I were to get started now. And what would be my X to earn? I don't know. Honestly, I'm seeing so many use cases. I think it's pretty cool. But I think for my X to earn, I would try to keep it in a more gamified environment, or like it feels more like a game. Of course, a lot of our apps also include streaks. So something that the community would wanna do for fun or like have value. I really can't give you an idea right now. But yeah, I think that's about it. But I would say for your X to earn, the greatest inspiration you can have is just asking your community. And what I mean by that is asking your neighbors, your family members, asking people, right? Like, is there anything they struggle with? So one of the upcoming apps, so they actually received a grant, and I think they'll be listing their app soon. It's actually about sleeping, like good sleeping habits. And I really like that because I have a terrible, like my sleeping habits are terrible. I sleep late. So having something like that, right? So simple. It just rewards you for sleeping during like the recommended hours for the recommended duration. And that would incentivize me to sleep better, of course. Another example, I think the exercise one is so good because I feel like it's something that everyone wants to do. Like you typically want to keep healthy. Like it feels like a chore, right? Like you get to see the results like later on. You have to be consistently exercising for weeks before you see the results on your body. But with an app that rewards you, you actually have more instant reward. So that's in the form of tokens. And you can use that token to spend maybe on better, I don't know, buying fitness bands or whatever. But something that can give you instant gratification. Yeah, that's what I mean. So what is the biggest problem, right, that new apps face? I would say I think the farming situation is one because a lot of people, you have to understand, they do go where there are free tokens, free money. It's like an airdrop, right? Token airdrop. And so I feel like as long as you take into consideration like the minimum, mm, like the security measures, you can actually I would say just be a bit more lenient, especially at the start of your app building journey. Like you would want user numbers, right? And of course, out of those users, then you will be able to sift out your real users through, some things that our apps have tried are like tiering. So like different memberships, different what we call reward multipliers. So if they have for example, like a verified VeChain domain or um, different participation levels in your app, you can actually afford to reward them more because these are actions that you want for your app. And so you are rewarding these actions. So like long-term loyalty, commitment, engagement, and also, like I said, staking. So like you want to encourage people to do that as well. So I would say that's one of the key issues. But honestly, like for a new app, I think just work on your product. And then another problem I would say is I think sometimes a lot of people when they're building their app, they forget that the product has to be good. I think as founders, right, you once you get that motivation, you actually want to build and do as much as possible, and create new features, release new stuff. So it takes a bit of discipline to actually narrow down your priorities when you're building an app, understanding which are the key features that you should be building, which ones are um, could be more vital to you scaling your app as compared to others. Of course, you can also look at low hanging fruits, right? So these are more strategic decisions, but I would say try to be more disciplined in your roadmap and also listen to what the community actually wants. And based on that, have frequent iterations of your product. And when people actually see that, they know that you are actively building, actively releasing new stuff that they want to see, then that's where you can also retain people better. Other obstacles, I would say, oh, one thing, of course, I think a lot of new apps, right? So a lot of founders do struggle because they have a very lean team. We're talking about one founder or two founders or co-founders. And sometimes they struggle with doing everything. And we see this, right? Like people do, like you can't be coding and also thinking about ways to um, find partnerships, and also thinking about community management. Like it's a lot for 1 to 2 people to handle. So chances are you do have to find other people to do this for you. You can outsource it. You can find part-timers. Of course, there might be people who come off the hackathon who just want to build for another person rather than their own app, and that's okay. So you can find people, meet people in the hackathon, and find people and try to form like larger groups, right? So you can each take a share of the workload, and that actually is more realistic. I find like that helps a lot. And for all those micromanagers, you do have to release the desire to like control everything. So yeah, find people you trust or you can rely on to take on bits of the operation for you. So I got this question. What apps would I recommend to try out? Not much. So of course, like I mentioned, Mugshot, Green Card, they're really easy to use. But we do have, I would say, try out all the apps. We do have one app. Oh, I should go back to where is that? Yeah, we do have apps for different use cases. I would say just use the one that makes more sense to your lifestyle. Um, like I think Cleanify is great, right? So they recently did, cleanups, community cleanups. And if you're the kind that like to do, more social community aspect, you have a group of friends or you have a club, right? You can actually get started on Cleanify. I really like their UI UX. It's one of my personal favorites, to be honest. And they have a cute mascot. Oh yeah, you should have a cute mascot or like a cute logo. I think that helps a lot, as you can see from a lot of the icons. Yeah, something that people like, right? And it's appealing. But yeah, so Cleanify. Try it out if you like to clean. I would also, let me see. I don't do a lot. I don't go out a lot. So for commuting, because I work from home. So for commuting, I would leave that aside. Let me see. I think BYB is great. So we have BYB, Stepper. Those are more for, getting moving. Try those out. I would say BYB is really easy for you to get started on to try an app. Great interface as well. Let me see. I don't know. I feel like everything is great. Of course, you do have to try some apps. You will experience, different. I think just from trying all the apps, right, you would experience the different stages at which each app is at. So what I mean by this is that you can see some apps, maybe the UI UX are more intuitive, or the colors itself could be appealing to you, or it's very easy for you to get verified on your sustainable action and take notes of that, right? And then for some apps that you feel, maybe the product isn't as user friendly as you think it is, or you can identify different barriers to entry. If you feel like there is a barrier to using a certain app, maybe I don't know, they don't allow social login. You can only do wallets, right? Only get started using wallets, and that isn't great for you as a, I don't know, Web2 user. Then that is a deterrent that you have to take into consideration for when you build your own app. Yeah. So I would say just try them all. You'll get to learn a lot. I think a lot of the grant projects that I speak with, they also make the effort to try out the different apps, especially their competitors, if there are any. And then they just find like, okay, what could be my unique selling point, right? Like you could be a competing app, but if your UI UX is better, you provide more value, then I don't see why people won't just start using your app instead. So we want to encourage healthy competition here as well. Yeah. So please try it out. Feel free to feedback to us. I think you can share risks, the different dev route. You can reach out to us also on our support channel. And we love to hear from you, right? As builders, what are you interested in? Okay, so let me just iterate on the hackathon before we go. Please remember the hackathon is starting actually at the end of this month. So keep a lookout for that. We'll probably publish more details about it. But I hope you guys are excited. I am to see more use cases coming in. I really want to see different use cases. We're receiving actually a lot more diversity, and I'm excited to see that. And remember, there are 3 tracks here for you. You can target any of these. I feel like social impact is something that we haven't really seen a lot of. So if you can identify ways where you can help people or make people's lives better very easily. So like I mentioned, sleep. We have Restify, right? Which is for putting away your phone and getting rewarded for that. So things like that and education. I would say more social impact. And then environmental, of course, there's a lot of use cases in the VeBetter DAO page for you to reference. And lastly, of course, remember if you want to find out more about the code base, it's actually in the description along with the other links to sign up for the hackathon. Let me find that for you. Yeah, you should be able to find it. If you can't find it, you can refer to the workshop. I'm sure the resources are linked down there. Yeah, and please like this video if you enjoyed it. And we hope to, see most of you guys in our hackathon. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me.